What's up, guys? Bigg Vic, we back in here with another video. So listen, I just wanted to touch on a few things, touch on a couple of things really quickly. As you're starting your Amazon relay business, a lot of you guys are getting started in the business. A lot of y'all, you guys have reached your 6 months, you got set up with Amazon relay. So when you're new, right, when you're brand new, a lot of these post offices, a lot of the postal workers are gonna try to get you guys to do more work than you're actually being paid to do. Right, I just had somebody reach out to me, shout out to Jazz. She said that when she got to the post office, it was a smaller post office, and the postal worker told her, after she pulled up and backed into the dock, it was a little one, she told her that once she pulls the pallets off the truck, she's gonna need her to break down the pallet and put it in the bin. So if you've done postal routes before, you're familiar with those bins, right? But that's not what the drivers do. I'm not sure exactly what type of time that this postal worker was on, but if you guys think that Amazon Relay pays you enough, especially with the post offices, to pick up the freight, load the freight on the truck, drive the freight to however many post offices, unload the freight when you get to the post office, break down the pallet, and put the loose boxes in cages at the post offices, you gotta be out your mind. The postal worker gotta be out their mind. To think that somebody's gonna drive at the wee hours in the morning, break a pallet down, and put it in a bin so that you guys can bring it into the post office. Listen, the lights are on, but somebody's not home. We got the lights on, but somebody's not home. Has to be. Has to be, because Amazon don't pay that type of money, y'all. I'm sorry. If you thought they was, I'm gonna be the first to tell you, Amazon does not pay that type of money, right? So now, there is an exception or two, right? I know back when I started a few years ago, every now and again, the pallets were wrapped sloppy. They were wrapped really sloppy from the domicile I was picking up from, from the Amazon I was picking up from. Shout out to CLT9, they've gotten way better since then. But back then, they just had people that was wrapping them really loosely, have the light items stacked on the bottom and heavy items stacked on top, which causes the pallet to start leaning. And then when you get to a post office after doing all that driving, turning corners and doing all this other stuff, you'll get there, you'll pull that pallet, and that pallet tips over and hits the pavement, or hits, or falls in the back of the truck, or falls when you pull it, or tilts over when you pull it out of the truck, right? And try to get it into the post office. So in an instance like that, when you have a collapse of all the boxes that were sloppily wrapped, if they hit the ground, then of course, yes, in an instant like that, yeah, you're gonna have to pick the boxes up, and maybe put them in a bin. But to pull up with a well-wrapped pallet that's not about to fall or break apart, and because you have a small post office and you can't get that pallet through your post office door, that's not the driver's responsibility at all. Amazon drivers, owner-operators do not get paid to do that. That's not a part of our description, right? Our description is to actually get the pallet there. Whether it's, basically put it on that dock, as long as it's not left unattended and a postal worker is there to see that that pallet has made it there, unless, and then there's an exception to that if you pull up to a post office and they actually have a sign on their, at their dock that says you can actually leave those pallets unattended there, then you can leave them unattended, right? So you shouldn't be pulling up to a post office, breaking down a pallet and putting it in bins. Shout out to Ken, because Ken had a situation like that out there when he did the Minnesota contract, for the Amazon contract in Minnesota. He had a postal worker that tried him out there. Tried him too, tried the same thing. Tried to get him to break the pallet down. He's like, ma'am, I don't get paid to break the pallet down. I'm only paid to drive it here and drop it on you guys' docks. That's it. So anytime you run an Amazon Relay Freight for a post office, let me let you guys know this, and you guys can chime down that run these postal routes. All of us probably have experienced that before, where postal workers try to get you to do more work than you actually being paid to do. But a lot of you guys pulling up to these post offices and you're doing unnecessary work that you don't have to do. You don't have to do that. Drive that stuff to the post office, put it in the bin. I mean, not put it in the bin. Drive that stuff to the post office, drop it on the dock. Drop it on the dock. Now, a lot of times, if you get into a dispute with the postal worker, they're gonna shoot Amazon an email. They're gonna shoot Amazon the email and try to report you. But even when you talk to RLC also knows that you don't be breaking. Your responsibility is not to break down the pallet when you get to a post office. That's not in your job description, right? I want to pull up the email, the email that they sent her, because they actually have reported her. They tried to report her, and it said, hello carrier, driver can follow. Listen to this, driver can follow what USPS is asking to do. Kindly look into the issue below and advise your driver accordingly. Driver has to abide by the meet and greet policy. The meet and greet is you driving the pallets there, dropping on that dock. That's the meet and greet, right? Unattended drops are considered an abandonment of freight and will result in a permanent ban of the driver. That's fine. Those pallets wasn't abandoned. But what happens is a postal worker who doesn't really want to do more work than they're actually being paid to do when it comes to Amazon stuff is try to get the driver to break down the pallet. And then she says that the postal worker mentioned that other drivers do it. Ma'am, I'm not other drivers. Other drivers are actually being courteous because they don't have to break a pallet down and drop it in you guys' bins. You know that little window of time that Amazon gives us when we have multiple stops, when you run the postal routes? Now, you actually think you've got time to drive to this post office, break down pallets, and throw them in bins, and then make it to your next stop on time? Come on, y'all. I could stop the video right here, because it does. Amazon does not pay enough money to do that, y'all. They're not paying you enough money to do that. So if that's something that you're doing it out of courtesy, obviously. That's not in your job description. No postal worker is going to tell me I'm about to break down the pallet and put it in bins. Like I said, the only time I've done that before is when the pallet actually tilted over. I had a postal worker that was helping me pull some of the freight out of the truck and with their pallet jack, and then when they pulled it, because it was kind of like we had to go up, pull up to get the pallets out of the truck. The way their dock was set up, it sat a little higher than the truck. So when she went to pull out the pallet tilted over, and all the boxes and stuff fell inside of the truck, and some fell outside of the truck. So in an instance like that, of course, I'm on a time schedule. So of course, in a situation like that, I'm gonna help her get the pallets, get not the pallets, but get the boxes up and put them in the bins, just so we can get the rest of the pallets out of the truck, and I can go on about my business. So, but me pulling up and a postal worker saying, hey, I need you to break that down and put those in that bins. No. We're not doing that. Well, no. We're not doing that. And you shouldn't do it either. You're not getting paid to do that. That's not a part of your job description. And what happens is some of these people that are up there at Amazon, what they do is because, and trust me, they're gonna take the person at Amazon, whoever's working up there, getting the emails from the postal workers, they're going to take the post office's side. They're going to take their side. I'm just giving you a heads up on that now. They're going to take their side if you get into a dispute with the postal workers and, they want to send Amazon an email about you or about whatever the situation was. So, like for example, when I ran one of them contracts and I went to Tennessee, I think I mentioned it in a video, on their dock, it says it's okay to leave the pallets unattended on their dock, to just drop the pallets off and keep it pushing, right? But where I set the pallets at, I actually didn't see their pallet was up under some other stuff that they had on their dock, and I set the pallets in the way of their pallet jack that they use. So it took them a little longer to actually break down the pallets to get to their pallet jack. So that kind of delayed them at the post office a little bit. And then they mentioned that. They just said not to sit the pallets, not to sit the pallets in their way of them doing their job. So that was my bad. But when they mentioned that, the postal worker mentioned that to the Amazon, that the pallets was kind of like in their way when they were left on the dock. First thing that the person said from Amazon was, hey, you can be suspended, all this other nonsense, for leaving the pallets unattended. So I got her correct real quick, whoever that person was, I got them correct real quick, like, hey, they had a sign. But the postal worker was cool. She chimed back in on the email. She was like, no, it's fine. They can leave the pallets on the dock. They just can't leave them in the way of our pallet jack. They just happen to leave it in the way of our pallet jack. As long as they don't do that, they're fine to leave it on the dock. And I'm looking at the email like, these Amazon people they don't care. They're just they're gonna side with the post office, right? So that's some of the BS that you have to deal with when you start fooling with some of these post offices. Right? Dropping it off is cool. Like I don't really have no issues with none of the post offices like that. But there's that one or two, especially when you're new, that you may run into. You mention something like, this is my first day, a couple of days, or they're gonna try to take advantage of that. Right? You're gonna run into one of the postal workers that's gonna be like, hey, go ahead and break that pallet down and go ahead and throw that in the bin for me. Especially the smaller post offices, the smaller ones. Right? They got a little teeny door and they can't get the pallets through their door, so they have to break it down. Right? It's not the driver's fault that you got a small door and you have to actually break that pallet down and get it inside your post office. My job is to deliver it, drop it on the dock, and let me go on about the rest of my route. Right? That's going to slow a driver down every single time. If you're doing that, more than likely you don't have an A+ score. Because I'm sure you're late, right? If you're sitting there, you're breaking down pallets and Amazon giving you 10 minutes to drop 3 pallets off and get to the next drop off, if you got 3 or 4 stops. So listen, y'all don't get paid to do that stuff. You don't get paid to do those breakdowns. Like Like I'm hearing myself say this stuff and I'm laughing to myself because it's like, all right, you're going to Go to Amazon, 2 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, 12 a.m., whatever time it is, load that truck up with all those pallets to go to the post office. Get to a post office, break down the pallet, and drop it in bins. I'm done talking right now. Anyway, listen, if you've experienced this or if you're doing this, that's not in your job description. Your job is to drive it, drop it on that dock, keep it moving. If you want to give them a courtesy and roll those pallets inside the post office, that's at your discretion. But your job is to actually drop it off at the post office. Amazon is not paying you for all that extra stuff. We don't get paid to break down a pallet at a post office and transfer boxes into bins for the post office, for the postal workers. That's their job, right? Anytime you see one of the mail trucks pulling up, the post office trucks pulling up, and they telling you gotta move out the dock so their postal worker can drop their mail, and then you can drop your stuff, right? When you see that mail truck pull up, you know, the 53, whatever size it is, it pulls up, they just throw them cages off, they get back in their vehicle and they keep it moving. Listen, you don't get paid to do that extra stuff. Stop doing it, all right? It's Tommy Bigg Vic TV, you heard it from me. You don't get paid no extra money to break down bins. And if you letting them postal workers trick you into doing their job, that's on you. Oh yeah, real quick, if you missed the last video, if you didn't get to watch the last video that I dropped, in that video I did mention that Old Yeller #2, I'm selling that truck because I'm actually gonna upgrade. I'm getting a fully custom truck, and I'm gonna move that one out of my inventory, move that one out of my fleet, and I'm gonna put another truck in place of that truck. So if you're interested in purchasing a truck or you're looking for a truck, hit me up, shoot me an email. I'll leave my email in my description if you're interested in, you know, looking for a truck, all right? It's Tommy Bigg Vic TV, you already know what it is. Always hustle, never stop growing. Let's go, let's get it, let's eat, baby.